So the first thing I like to do is figure out which thrift stores I want to hit up. Usually I hit up Savers and Goodwill. There's a few other ones like, what is it, Salvation Army that I don't really hit up that much, but I probably should. And then there's a couple mom and pop stores around too. But usually Savers and Goodwill are my main thrift stores that I hit up. And first thing I do when I hit up Savers is I go to the grab bags. I know a lot of other thrift stores that do grab bags. Some Goodwills do, some Goodwills don't, but that's my main place I go, just because a lot of point and shoots, they kind of go under the radar and people are like, oh, this is just a regular point and shoot, it's worth nothing, and they might be putting like a Yashica T4 or Olympus stylus or something. You never know. Like this Olympus stylus Epic was in a grab bag, and I got this for like $2.99 and it works fine. So you never know what you're gonna find. So usually that's what I like to do is look at the grab bags first. If you happen to look there, then I usually go to the shelves in the electronics and see what they have over there. Sometimes they might have a camera on the shelf. I know when I went to a Goodwill once, they had this camera on a shelf, the Yashica T4. That was really cheap, and I snagged that right away, of course. But yeah, when shopping for point and shoots from like grab bags and shelves, what I usually like to check is to make sure the lens is clear and not busted or fungus or anything. Check to make sure that there's no corrosion in the battery chamber. So open that up, check to make sure there's no corrosion. I know if it's on a shelf you can do that. If it's in a grab bag, you can't really just open it up and look. I've seen people do that, and I'm pretty sure that's frowned upon. So I mean, if you want to do that, more power to you, but don't say I said you could. Just do what you want, but on your terms, okay? So yeah, I mean, I don't do it if it's in a grab bag, and if I think it's worth the risk, then I buy it. But I don't rip open the grab bag and look and see, oh yeah, this is great. But yeah, if it's on a shelf, usually you can mess around with it and see. I also like to check and open the back and see how clean it is back there. See if there's any film left in it. I know some people are like, oh no, keep the film in, shoot it, expose it, which would be kind of cool, I guess. But usually when I get cameras from thrift stores, they don't really have film in them anyway, so I can't really say that I do that. If there was film, I might keep it in there and shoot and then develop it at home, just because I have the process and chemicals to do that at home. But I don't think I'd actually pay money to develop someone else's roll, or half of someone else's roll. Sorry if it's your roll, no offense. I just don't have that kind of funds, you know. But yeah, so when you're looking for point and shoots, keep those things in mind. Always check the viewfinder, make sure it's clear. This one, it looks like the rectangle, the framing rectangle is actually shifted down. So I mean, that's not a huge deal breaker, but it's definitely something that's kind of annoying. And I don't feel like taking this apart trying to fix it. But sometimes taking cameras apart from thrift stores works out. For example, last week I went to Savers on my way to the doctor's because I had a few minutes to kill, and I looked behind the glass and I found these two Yashica Epics. Infinities, yeah, sorry. And they both function somewhat. And by somewhat, one of them doesn't load the film, but everything else works. And I read a couple things online talking about like the wiring you can mess with to make it work. But this one works fine. The only problem was the back was this back on this camera. I swapped it over and see how it's got like glue as the window, the film window. So I swapped it, so I had this one. So now I have a complete one, and I mean both of them were like $12.99, which is a little bit pricier than what I pay for point and shoots at thrift stores, but I mean I feel like it's definitely worth it for these guys. And I mean, hopefully I can fix this one. If not, it's not the end of the world. I was thinking I'd probably sell this one that's fine and then keep this one and fix it and just use it for myself, because I really don't mind the glue. I guess if I'm shooting high temperatures it might melt it, but I might take it out and try to fix it, but who knows. So you can also do those things, you know, if there's a camera that's decent and you think you can fix it from a thrift store, like definitely go for it. I'm not that handy with tools, so I mean, sometimes I try to mess with things and I can fix it. Like this was pretty easy, just taking off the latch and swapping the backs. But I have like an Electro, a Yashica Electro that I try to take apart, and now it's just for holding books holding, it's a book stand pretty much now, you know, like keeping the books from falling over, which is kind of sad. But I have another one, but after that I'm like, I'm going to take a step back and not risk messing it up more than it already is. So that pretty much covers point and shoots. Usually if it's behind the counter, I won't pay for a point and shoot unless it's really nice. But grab bags are definitely my go-to, and then just on the shelves. So now let's get into SLRs. So for SLRs, if it's on a shelf, usually I feel like the thrift store, it's either a crappy camera to begin with, or they don't realize what it is. But usually I feel like SLRs are usually behind the counter. Today I went thrifting, and at Savers I was able to find this camera. It's a Minolta SRT 101. And I mean the SLR, it's a decent SLR, but the jewel that I like about it is the lens. It's a 58mm 1.4. And the lens is in pristine condition, no fungus or anything. So I was like, yeah. I was actually looking at this lens online last night, and I just so happened to find it today thrifting, and I was like, that's insane. So sometimes my luck works, sometimes it doesn't. But when checking for SLRs at thrift stores, what I like to do is usually check to make sure the shutter works, and by doing that, I load, and by load I mean I put the aperture all the way. So this is 1.4. Put it at a slow shutter speed, so this is at 1 second. And then cock the shutter, and then pop open the back like so. This one's really hard to open though, it's like a pain. Probably need to grease it or something, who knows. And then after all that, point it up to some light and look at the curtain, the shutter curtain. Just make sure it works. So you can see that works. That's usually my first step when testing a camera before purchasing it. And then after that, check the dials. So like on top, like the shutter speed dial, check that. It's also got the ASA in it, so make sure it pops up and moves the ASA, which it does. And you can check all the other buttons on the front too, like the timer. So the timer does not seem to, it was working earlier, but it's also probably because it's in bulb mode. It's not bulb mode, it's in a second. So let's do 1/25. Nope. Okay, there you go, you just have to hit the button. I'm still gonna use this camera, I've never used it before. So it works somewhat. But yeah, so I checked those things. You can check the battery chamber, usually on the bottoms of the camera. Sometimes it's on the front, like the Canon AE one, but this one's on the bottom. Then I like to check the viewfinder. So when you're looking in the viewfinder, make sure it's clear. There'll probably be some specks of dust and everything, but nothing major. If there is, you might want to consider not buying it. Yeah, so this one looks pretty clean. The lens, always check for fungus, any scratches, dents. That can affect the picture, but this lens is not. This is freaking perfect. It's amazing. Like, I'm so happy I got this. Like, look at that. It's just so clean and beautiful. Look at it shine. But yeah, and then not lastly, but another thing I like to do is pop off the lens. I'm sure the people at the thrift store working are like, just buy it already, but it's my money, so I want to take my time. So pop off the lens, check the back of the lens, make sure there's no fungus or anything on the back. Look inside the camera body, see how the mirror is in there and everything, make sure it's fine, not cracked or anything. So there's that. And I feel like overall, I mean, as long as the body's in good shape, not dented, all those things check out, I feel like it's definitely worth buying. It still might not work when you get home. There could be something wrong with the battery chamber. There could be internal stuff going on, like maybe it was dropped, but it was dropped on something soft so it didn't dent it. But usually I feel like when I go by those like checkout steps, it usually pans out. So yeah, but after buying that, I was like, oh, should I keep thrifting, should I not? And I was like, yeah, you know what? I finished all my homework for the weekend. Why not? So I went to the Goodwill down the road and I saw a bag behind the glass. Usually when I go to Goodwill's, I don't really look behind the glass because they shoot the prices up like crazy. I feel like a little bit more in that regards than to Savers, but I feel like Savers prices overall are a little bit pricier than Goodwill, if that makes any sense. But instead of going to the back, looking on the shelves, I actually went straight to behind the glass just because I had such good luck at the last thrift store behind the glass. So they actually had a bag that said Nikon on it, but of course it was closed because for some reason thrift stores love keeping their bags closed and the cameras inside, but putting the price on it. So they have to come, open it up, you know, like it would make things so much easier if they just had the camera out in front of the bag or something. But hey, it's not my business. You do how you want. But just a tip, you know, if you want to save everyone some time. But so I asked if they could get the bag for me. It took like 5-10 minutes because they were kind of busy. But once I opened the bag, I opened it up and I found this Nikon FM in there, which is in also really good condition, maybe a little bit better condition than that Minolta that I just showed you. But same thing, I checked for fungus, checked the shutter, checked the battery, checked the viewfinder, everything checked out. And there's a few other lenses in there too that were off market. They weren't even Nikon, but for the price I was paying, I was like, hey, it's worth it. And the bag's really nice too. I just gotta figure out how to clean canvas. So if you know how to clean canvas bags, just put a comment and let me know, because I could use some tips on that, because I don't want to destroy it, because it's a pretty nice Nikon bag. But yeah, besides all that, I think that pretty much covers thrifting for cameras. Price points, I usually don't spend over like, I usually don't go over like $40 for thrifting for cameras unless it's like a really nice camera that I know that works. Otherwise, I stick to the grab bags and the shelves. Every once in a while, I'll go behind the counter, like go to the counter and see what they have. But I get most of my cameras from the grab bags and shelves. And I think that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you made it through this spiel of me just talking about thrifting and cameras, hopefully I didn't bore you too much. But I think my next video is probably gonna be another breakdown, maybe do something a little different. I want to go do landscapes, maybe even at night with my my medium format rangefinder, seeing how I have that quick release for it now. And by quick release, I mean my shutter release button. Sorry. So yeah, I might do that. If there's a camera that I mentioned today that you want me to do a video on, just leave a comment and I'll be sure to get that in the rounds. But for now, thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next video. Until next time.